Felipe VI summons sisters to decide on King Juan Carlos I's last will. Zarzuela Palace begins to prepare for the unthinkable. Madrid. After weeks in Marivent, the Spanish royal family's usual summer retreat, King Felipe VI returned to Madrid with a momentous decision, summoning his two sisters, Princess Elena and Princess Cristina, to Zarzuela Palace. The reason was not trivial: the health of their beloved father, King Juan Carlos I, had deteriorated to an alarming degree, and all signs pointed to the fact that time was running out. A painful truth that could not be avoided. Those close to the Zarzuela Palace were aware of this fact. King Juan Carlos I, once a symbol of Spain's democratic transition, was no longer able to cope with the infirmities of old age. In recent days, he has been hospitalized frequently, his health has deteriorated, and according to the doctor, all treatment is currently only of the nature of end-of-life care. In this context, the emeritus king himself has shown unusual acceptance, calmness and sobriety. He left a clear written will, a document that is both symbolic and emotional. In it, he expressed his final wishes, to be buried at El Escorial, the traditional resting place of Spanish kings, to have a solemn requiem mass with the anxious silence of Felipe VI in the government. However, such wishes, although coming from the heart of a monarch, are not easy to implement in the current political and social context. Felipe VI, his successor and only son, knows well that fully implementing his father's requests could create a wave of fierce controversy in Spanish public opinion. Juan Carlos's legacy, in addition to his great contributions to democracy, also includes many financial and ethical scandals that have severely affected his image in the last years of his life. The current government, which is cautious with any moves related to the royal family, is also not very interested in organizing a state funeral or an overly lavish royal ceremony for Juan Carlos I. Although it has not publicly opposed it, its reservations and distance are easily noticeable. Meanwhile, Felipe VI is in a difficult position, between loyalty to his father and the responsibility to preserve the monarchy's public image. Family meeting decides the fate of a will. Therefore, summoning Princesses Elena and Cristina is not only an act of family affection, but also a strategic move. Felipe VI wants the consent of his family members, especially his two sisters, who also have a certain influence within the royal family, especially Princess Elena, who has always maintained an attitude of absolute loyalty to her father. Juan Carlos I, despite being sick in Abu Dhabi, has kept in close contact with his family by phone. In a recent call, he stressed that the desire to return to El Escorial is sacred and non-negotiable. He also expressed regret that he could not breathe his last breath on Spanish soil, but hoped to at least make it. The silent battle between protocol and politics. The final decision has not yet been officially announced, but many sources say that the family is trying to reach a quiet compromise with the government. Accordingly, the funeral will be held on a limited scale, not called a state funeral but still ensuring solemn rituals. The burial at El Escorial is likely to be done privately, to avoid attracting public or media attention. Felipe VI, who is known for his low profile and careful handling of the royal image, is said to be deeply troubled. He does not want to hurt his father in his final days, but he cannot afford to let the monarchy fall into another crisis of confidence. Whatever the case, the decision he makes in the coming days will surely leave a deep mark on the history of the Spanish royal family. An era closes, and a generation faces. The story of King Juan Carlos I is not just the story of a dying father, but the symbol of a generation coming to an end. Mistakes, contributions, glories and failures, all are now gathered in a final will, simple but filled with historical and emotional significance. Whether we agree or disagree with what Juan Carlos I did in his life, no one can deny that his passing will be a great turning point to send off his father properly, without shaking the foundation of the monarchy he was defending. Time is running out, and preparations have quietly begun. In recent days, a series of secret moves have been made at the Zarzuela Palace. Although no official announcements have been made, the atmosphere here has become quieter and more solemn than usual. King Felipe VI's work schedule has been significantly reduced, political meetings have also been postponed without giving specific reasons. Some of the royal family's veterans, those who served Juan Carlos I during his reign, have been invited to discuss the aftermath. According to leaked information, several funeral plans have been prepared, from the transfer of the body from Abu Dhabi to El Escorial, to the selection of the guest list, Felipe VI's farewell speech, and even the time of the official announcement to the people. Even the national television channels have begun to prepare memorial content. The archives of Juan Carlos' life are being rearranged and carefully edited, as if they were all waiting for a final bell to ring. Princess Elena, the loyal and steadfast daughter. In this emotional context, the role of Princess Elena is especially prominent. As the eldest daughter of King Juan Carlos I, she has always maintained absolute loyalty to her father, despite criticism from the public and the media. While Cristina has retreated behind the scenes after her husband's financial scandal, Elena is the one who is often present in Abu Dhabi, taking care of and talking to her father, keeping him closer to the memories of his homeland that he cannot return to. Some sources revealed that it was Elena who convinced Felipe VI to take his father's wishes seriously, not only for the sake of bloodline but also for the honor of the entire dynasty. She believed that, although Juan Carlos I had made mistakes in his later years, what he had done in the early days of democracy still deserved to be recognized with a solemn and dignified farewell. Cristina, a cautious but necessary return. Princess Cristina, who had gone through years of bitterness and humiliation after her husband was convicted, was almost excluded from royal life. However, in the face of her father's deteriorating health, she overcame her pain and self-blame to return to her family. Although her presence is still controversial in public opinion, for Juan Carlos I, it was probably not as important as seeing his children reunited in his final moments. In her meeting with Felipe VI, Cristina did not express her views as strongly as Elena, but she agreed to respect her father's wishes, as long as it did not harm the position of the reigning king or the stability of the royal family. She is said to have played a mediating role, helping her two relatives smooth over their differences and reach a necessary consensus. A multifaceted legacy, and lessons for the future. The saga surrounding Juan Carlos I's will and final wishes is a major test not just for Felipe VI, but for the entire Spanish monarchy. How to honor the past without being bound by its mistakes. How to send off a king with respect, without damaging the already fragile trust that the people have in the royal family. Felipe VI, since his accession to the throne, has worked tirelessly to reposition the royal family as a modern, transparent and exemplary institution. He has cut spending, declared his assets, and refused to interfere in politics, all in an attempt to salvage the shaky image of the monarchy following the scandals of his father and sister. But now, faced with the greatest loss of his life, he is forced to balance the mind of a king with the heart of a son. If handled correctly, this will be an opportunity for the Spanish royal family to make some peace with the public, by demonstrating humanity, piety and responsibility. But if it goes wrong, the wave of criticism could wash away all the efforts to rebuild trust over the past decade. The clock is ticking. No one knows exactly how long it will be before Juan Carlos I passes away, but with the signals that are happening, it is clear that the clock is running out. And in every decision made by Zarzuela at this time, it is not just a farewell to a person, but also a message to an entire country, that no matter what the past, the passing of a king, with all its glory and darkness, is something that must be faced with compassion, caution and respect.